Let's Talk Southwest Florida podcast. Today's guest, Kyle DeCicco.
Mike, good morning. How are you?
President of Sanibel Captiva Bank.
Community Bank. Don't forget to say Community Bank. I'll get yelled at by our marketing director if I don't say Community Bank.
Well, and that's the difference with your bank, because you are truly a community bank.
Yes, sir.
And I'm so happy and excited to have you in today to the podcast, because I do know of Sanibel and Captiva Community Bank, and I know what kind of bank you are, and the people that are there working day in and day out, and the people that started the bank. I just got off the phone with one of them.
He's a good man.
He is. We'll talk about him and some others too. This is just a conversation between us as friends, as business people in Southwest Florida. I always say the podcast is about the people and the places that make Southwest Florida great. And you're one of those people. And your bank is one of those places. So that's what I think is so special about Sanibel Captiva Community Bank. And there's other good banks out there too, but I do think the story of Sanibel Captiva Community Bank and your journey with and other people within the organization is just a great story. And it's a great bank.
It's a great story. And I appreciate you having me here. And you know, for those who came before me and for those who will come after me, because that's the whole point of this institution. It is not a fly-by-night institution. We're not for sale. We're not going to be for sale.
Yeah.
And I can say that publicly. We have a board of directors that is their mission, to keep this thing alive and keep this going for a long time, to serve this community here in Southwest Florida.
And you've had a great board all the way through. Because I know a lot of those board members. I know a lot of your shareholders. It's one of those things I was thinking about this morning when the bank first started. We were asked as locals, especially on Sanibel and Captiva, do you want to invest in the bank?
I believe the story is, correct me if I'm wrong, you were there, right? I wasn't at that time. Yeah. Craig Albert and a few others pretty much raised the capital to start that institution over a weekend. Yeah. And I believe they had $6 or $7 million of commitments in literally 48 hours.
That's amazing.
And every person that said that they were going to write a check, wrote a check. It's not like, 50% committed. It was 100% commitment.
And I bet
somebody said they were in for $10,000, that they wrote a check for $10,000.
I bet you most, if not all, those people are still involved with that bank. I'd be very surprised.
We rarely get stock available for repurchase, let's put it that way. And when we do, we give it to our employees first, and they get the first crack to buy it back, which I'm very proud of. That's one of my commitments as the president and CEO, that we'll continue to do that, because that's what Craig always wanted. We want our employees to be owners as well.
The unfortunate thing for me is I didn't take advantage of the stock.
I'm sorry.
But that was probably when I was in my 20s.
It's 23 years ago.
Yeah.
It's 23 years ago. We're 23 years young.
Yeah. So I've been doing this 32 years, so it would have been in my 30s most likely. But I was having kids and family and trying to manage all that, and still am. That's life.
Timing and opportunity.
Yeah.
They rarely go together, but sometimes they do, and when they do, it's pretty special.
Yeah. Well, you guys have done a great job. I'm just going to read the introduction about you. Naturally, I'm thrilled to have you today. You're the president and CEO of Sanibel Captiva Community Bank. Kyle's leadership and vision have driven extraordinary growth for the bank, and his dedication to both his profession and the Southwest Florida community is truly inspiring. From his work during the Great Recession, we all remember that, to his pivotal role in the recovery after Hurricane Ian, Kyle has proven to be a key figure in both the banking sector and the local philanthropic. And that's what's great about the bank and the leadership. They've always been so involved with the local community, and we can go through some of these things that the bank is involved with. They're pretty much involved with everything, it seems like, giving back to the community in general. And you guys have always done that. And I've been part of that Great Recession, like you, and then also the hurricanes.
Sure.
And with all those things that we've gone through back in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then now over the last 3 years, but then before that was COVID.
Sure.
So we can't forget about COVID either.
Mike, it all sounds really good on paper, and I think to just wrap that up quickly, or to start out with, is we're always going to have a challenge. Yeah. There's always going to be something hard in our lives going on, personally and business-wise. It's how you deal with it.
Yeah.
And when I started my banking career in 2007, I didn't know it at the time, coming right out of college. It was at the height. And I worked for a financial institution down in Naples, and it was one of the best banks in the country. And 2 years later, it failed and was taken over in receivership by the FDIC. And I stayed there for 4.5, 5 more years, working out about $500 million of bad CRE loans. So I have almost an unwritten PhD in how to work out loans and what not to do in banking. And I think that really helped me become a better banker further down the line in my career.
Well, I'm going to just, before we go into the questions, because the questions are about your journey and the impactful work that you guys do in the community and you yourself does. I was talking to the former president, CEO, Craig Albert, great guy.
And founder.
Yeah,
I like to throw founder in there. It was his vision.
It was his vision. He did a fantastic job. He was being funny, but this is that competitive side to Craig and you. He said,
let's hear it, Mike.
He
Go
said,
ahead.
Mike, the ship was already sailing and all he has to do is steer it now. I go, no. You went through a tough time in that 2007 to 12, but we've been going through some tough times here in the last 3-4 years with COVID and these storms. And once again, you know, the leadership in you and the people underneath, together, really not underneath, together. And that's a true team that you have at Sanibel Bank. And it's a community bank, and that's why. So it's not just about steering. It's about leading and new leadership, and you're it. And Craig also said, Mike, you know, it's, you know, without a doubt, he's intelligent, but most of all, he's a great person. And he said, that's an understatement. He said, you and your wife, you adopted 2 kids. And
don't hit me with the kids. I'll get emotional. I'm like you, buddy. I'll get emotional. I've seen you get emotional when you talk about your children.
It just goes to show you what kind of person you are. And I know you're a fantastic father.
I appreciate that.
And your wife. I've only heard the best about Kyle DeCicco and his family. And you're a young guy.
You know what? I started just really quickly. You know, I started my banking career right out of school. It led me into this. And my wife and my family really quick, you know, they're everything. And what you do in the, you know, during the day for the, you know, let's call it 8 to 6 or your working hours plus the after hours events that we have to go to. That's important, but you come home and you get to listen to those little babies. And we didn't start our family until a few years ago. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old this month. They turned 2 and 4. And we struggled with that part of it. And God blessed us with 2 beautiful adopted children. And they're my children 100%.
That's awesome.
We are so happy to have them in our lives.
That's
so
awesome.
Blessed. So blessed.
You're that kind of man, and the people that know you know that. So let's dive into some questions. Now, I'm going to just read them right through here. You've had a remarkable journey from working with larger banks to becoming the president and CEO of Sanibel Bank. Can you share what led you to this point in your career and what motivated you to take on such a leadership role?
You know, I think competitive nature is just bred in me. Much like your daughter, you know, I would look at a black line for most of my life at the bottom of a pool. And I think the swimming, the collegiate swimming, the training for Olympic trials and competing at that level just instills a competitive edge in you that you always want to win. You always want to do better. We were talking about struggles personally. I struggle with being content. I am never content in anything in my life other than my family. I always, you know, it's a blessing and a curse. But I always want better. I always want to push myself. I'm never quite satisfied. So, you know, when I started my banking career, I always wanted the promotion. I always wanted to do more loans than the guy next to me. And that just that snowballed. And I don't want to go too much into the details, but about 9 years ago when I first met Craig Albert, and he took me to lunch, and he was an introduction from a great local businessman here, Jack Thomas, a financial advisor. I think you know Jack.
Yeah, I know Jack.
He started the lunch between Craig and I. And within 30 minutes of lunch, Craig pretty much said, go speak with David Hall, our CFO, and work out a comp plan because you're coming to work for us.
That's great.
They never had any commercial lender. They didn't have a commercial presence. They were just primarily known as a residential, you know, high-end residential niche market out on Sanibel and Captiva. At that time, we were about $260 million in assets at the start of 2016. That's when I came on board. We had about 40 employees in 4 locations. Today, fast forward to today, and we can fill in the gap, but I just spoke with John Wright, our CFO, this morning. We're fast approaching $1 billion in total assets. I think we're about $970 million as of yesterday, as of month end yesterday, in total assets. We have 128 employees. We have 9 locations. Fort Myers Beach is on its way.
I saw that the other day.
Very exciting. We're going to be the only financial institution on Fort Myers Beach.
It says that on the sign.
Yep. So very excited about that. Very excited that the board of directors share the vision and what we think Fort Myers Beach is going to be in a few years. And that's what we are. If you live, breathe, and work and play in this community, you have to fully embrace yourself in this community. And Fort Myers Beach is a huge part of this community.
I think also too, I mean, people in general don't forget where you come from, and that bank has not forgot where they came from.
Right. Yeah, we're an island-based bank.
Yeah.
We know that.
You're an island-based bank, but you're all Southwest Florida. So, and you've got great banking relationships with other banks too. I know you guys work together with things that maybe one bank doesn't specialize in, but you do, and
sure,
and vice versa.
I'm friends with, Bill Blevins, and he just recently, 3 years ago, started Gulf Coast Business Bank, and we gave him some advice and helped him through that de novo process. Competition, it breeds all of us to be better. So I'm fine with that. We have our on-island competitors, as well. I won't name their names, but, I
didn't know there was any competitors on the island.
I didn't say it like you did, but it's just a bit different business model. We truly put our money where our mouth is. We truly show that we support the businesses and the people of our community by the way that we lend.
Yeah.
And you can look at our call report and you can look at our balance sheet and say, wow, that bank constantly has 100% loan to deposit ratio. And you may ask, what does that mean? Well, every bit of money that we take in here in Southwest Florida, we lend it out in the form of loans, right? So we're constantly fully leveraged as most we possibly can be, keeping our regulators happy, obviously.
Yeah.
But yes, that helps us facilitate paying nice dividends and everything to our shareholders. But at the same time, we're helping the community more than any other institution in Southwest Florida by the amount of loans that we do. And our numbers back that up, where other institutions might take a safer approach and keep more money at the Federal Reserve or buy more securities or put it at Wall Street. We're truly trying to lend every dollar that we take in here in Lee County and put it back in the form of loans right here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, and you give back too, because I know you're involved with a lot of great nonprofits and a lot of organizations out there that you're helping, not just people in general, businesses, and then a lot of nonprofits, like one that I'm involved with, Valerie's House. And you guys have been a huge supporter of us.
I was there Thursday night. We did a financial literacy program for your young teens or your young adults groups. We had 8 employees there. We bought them dinner and had a great hour presentation. It was fun. Smart young people.
We can't thank you enough. And I know there's other organizations out there, PACE, and a lot of other organizations out there that Blessings in a Backpack, all kinds of them out there. Those aren't just those. And big, small, you're helping them all. And we appreciate that.
Thank you for that.
And I think too, you're helping them in a manner and also they feel your desire to help. It's not just writing a check.
We talk to our nonprofits to see what's important to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not writing a check. Sometimes it's manpower.
Yeah.
And it's packing boxes. Sometimes it's cleaning up a beach. Sometimes it is writing a check.
Yeah.
But yeah, since 2003, so we're again almost 23 years old. I just looked it up. We're $5 million. We've given $5 million, over $5 million to nonprofits and local organizations here.
That's amazing.
And, I'm blessed that I have a board that backs that and that doesn't fight me on that. They 100% support, if we're going to be profitable and we're going to benefit from this, our community is going to benefit from this as well.
I've been at the cashier, right there where you give your deposit or you get money out, whatever. But I've also been behind the doors and seeing the day-to-day and the people and going up to them. Some of them I know personally. Everybody's happy. It just looks like, it feels like, and I believe it is just a great place to work. And I think the people that I know there are fantastic people. They're everyday people. They treat you with respect. They treat you with love, care, and concern. And that's the way your bank gives. That's what you get from Sanibel Captiva Community Bank.
We try to breed that into our culture. And I remind everybody on a daily basis that we are in the service industry. We're here to serve, just like a hospitality industry, just like going to an establishment for dinner. We're here to serve our customers and serve our community. Don't ever forget that. Yes, we have a job to do, and sometimes we have to make tough decisions in banking as well. That's where I come in typically. But for the most part, we are a face-forward institution where we welcome people into our doors. We want to be there. We want to do things the old-fashioned way, in a way, and shake hands and have you sit in the lobby and drink coffee and eat cookies and meet with loan officers in person and not get charged for cashing a check or depositing cash. It's very, a old school way of thinking.
Well, you guys
and I'm going to try to continue it that way as long as possible.
You guys do a great job at that. I want to go back to where we started. You swam in college, like my daughter too, at Swim Florida.
Yes.
And where'd you go to college again?
I started Swim Florida in 92, the summer that Hurricane Andrew hit. Right. And so this kind of brings us back again from 92 to what happened in Ian. And I know we'll get to Ian in a minute, but,
and you started at Swim Florida in 92.
In 92, I was
How old were you?
Seven.
I was already graduated from high school.
Yeah. So Coach Matt Kennedy, I mean, your daughter and I had the same coach, that gentleman, I spent more time and he mentored me. And I have a fantastic parents. My parents are fantastic. My father is fantastic. But I spent probably more time with Matt Kennedy in my childhood and at early adulthood than I did my own dad. I mean, if you think about it, 4 or 5 hours a day, I'd be with that guy.
Every day,
6 days a week.
Yeah.
But swimming.
Doubles.
Yeah. Swimming was everything. And, now in my adult life, I can look back and, those times and all that stuff, they really don't matter that much anymore.
Yeah.
But the swimming gives you this mindset of accomplishment, this mindset of, I know I can, or I know I will. Failure is not an option. When you commit to something, when you commit to a goal or you commit to a school. I went to FAU. I went to Florida Atlantic University. My wife went to Florida Atlantic University.
Great school.
High school sweethearts. And we got to spend 3 great years together. And at college together swimming. That was fantastic. But that's lifelong friends, memories, but the skill set to win, the skill set to be competitive. And if you put college Division I anything in my opinion, on the first line of your resume, you get hired.
Well, especially as a swimmer, the dedication, because I mean, to watch my daughters, all 3 of them went through swimming with Coach Mack, and he's an incredible man. What I loved about him too, he didn't grind those. Yeah, you were there to practice, but he let you have fun too. And
really,
well,
he's getting older.
Yeah, but I think he made you work, and you swam a lot of times in the pool, but they also made sure that you wanted to have fun, because my daughter was at some other programs and it was just too much.
Great memories of Swim Florida. What a great organization and a legacy that you can't put a number to what Matt Kennedy has done for this community.
Yeah.
You talk about something that has done something for the community. That man has done amazing things for this community. The amount of scholarship money that parents and kids didn't have to take on in scholarship debt of scholarship athletes that he sent out the door.
Mine was one of them. And it was Coach Mack, but it was also Coach Robbie. I mean, he was great and Coach Robbie, I mean, I liked him. I thought he was great for Olivia, and he knew what to get out of Olivia and how to drive Olivia. And that's special.
Coach Robbie, Rob Pellissier, right? He's one of my best friends. He's my groomsman in my wedding, and we lived together for 4 years in college.
And he swam too.
He swam at FAU as well.
Yeah, that's great. We miss him too. Olivia's in her 4th year, going in her 5th year, and like you, swimming in college, she's done. It's incredible to just say you went to a powerhouse program, and to achieve that. But like you, I talked to her the other day. She's had 2 shoulder injuries, 3, and she's battled her whole way through there. And I said, do you ever think about you've had a great ride. Do you ever think about just giving it up and just moving on to the next step, the next part of your journey, in work and business? She said, no, Dad, I love the sport. And to have a fractured shoulder, to have a torn whatever, and then another tear this year and still have that. I mean, it's a brutal sport.
You got to have it between the ears.
Yeah. And like you said, I'm looking at a black line and it's just me and you're what you're going through underwater. I mean, I just can't imagine. I played football.
It might be the lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, next question. In some of these questions, we may have already talked about some of these. And if we do, then we'll just, go through them. You've helped St. Cap experience impressive growth pushing assets from 260 million to almost $1 billion in just 7 years. So, Craig, Albert, if you're listening to this, I think he's doing a pretty good job, because that's the reason why he's out in, where's he out skiing?
He's skiing right now.
Park City.
I think
he's been out there for months.
He's enjoying well-deserved time with his family.
He does enjoy it, but he said to me, he goes, Mike, there's a reason why I can do this and spend months out here, because Kyle is a great leader and he's good at what he does. So he had those things to say about you, but really more so just you as just a great person. So
Craig says it's me and the team. It's the team. Yeah. I lead a great team. And we have a great board. It starts with them, starts with Craig and our board of directors. We have a fantastic board of directors that truly believes in what our executive management team wants to accomplish, and they let us accomplish it. They don't get in our business too much. They're there for oversight. They're there for, the big picture overlook, like where we're going to go next to Fort Myers Beach and stuff like that. But really, they let us run the bank, which means a lot to me. And they, like you just said, if Craig can be skiing for a month at a time and spend time with his family, and not worry, that's a great compliment. To the job that we are doing, that we are doing.
Do we still have our former mayor, Marty Harity, on your board?
Marty Harity is still on our board of directors.
What an incredible guy he is, too.
You'll love this story. So Marty calls me on...
him and his wife, Brenda.
Yeah. So Marty called me, and I can say this because it's public. We've had record earnings every year for, I think, 9 or 10 years in a row.
Yeah.
So on December 31st, Marty called me, and he just said, Kyle, great job this year. I just want you to know, great job. I'm like, thanks, Marty. That means a lot coming to you. He goes, have a great time, spend time with your family for the holiday, and, we'll talk, later. Calls me the next morning. He goes, morning, what have you done for me lately? Marty is just a fantastic businessman, fantastic restaurateur, and
our former mayor.
Yeah.
And he was a great one. I saw him.
He is a great one.
Yeah, he's a great one.
He's a guy that pushes you to be better, much like you push your team to be better. He's one of those team players that wants to build it, wants to see it work, wants to see the people around him be successful, and that's why I love Marty, and that's why I want Marty on the board for as long as we can keep Marty on the board, is because he has that vision of building a team that can accomplish a goal.
Yeah.
Whether that goal is making what's their shrimp dish that I love so much. Oh gosh, he's gonna kill me.
You just get the grouper all the time.
Okay, the grouper, the shrimp, right? Or
and we're talking about Doc Ford's,
and Dixie Fish Co.
Dixie Fish Co.
And they just bought Benita's.
That's great.
Yeah, so they're going to open up another concept at Benita's,
and
which
they've
is
been
very
hurt
exciting.
through this.
Oh gosh,
I mean,
they're no different than 90% of our customer base.
Yeah.
on the islands,
but
and not just the
back.
islands, all Lee County and coastal areas that got hit by Ian.
And they're up at St. Pete now too, weren't they?
St. Pete, Clearwater.
I heard that place up there is just booming and just great. But I'm sure they were affected by the hurricane.
All locations were affected.
Yeah. So what about that? Anything to add on to with what do you believe were the key factors that contributed to the success from that 260 to $1 billion?
It's no one thing, but it's finding a way to be successful during the challenging times.
Yeah.
Anybody, I think, could budget in banking and then set people in motion, raise the capital, get the deposits, put the right people in positions to lend money and hit the right figure that you need to hit for the bottom line. It's when you have, the blue-green algae water scares that have decimated our markets and our real estate markets, as you know. It's when you have the COVID experiences. It's when you have multiple hurricanes.
Yeah.
Four just recently, right? There's just so many different problems or disasters that you can't budget for.
Yeah.
And it's finding a way to work through those and having a great team that no matter what, with any institution, I think you have to have your go-to war scenario employees that will show up and get the job done. And we have a large group of them.
You got a bunch of them. I know a bunch of them.
We have a bunch of them. And so, where others maybe hunker down during times of struggle, we excel. We excel.
Yeah.
And we work hard through it.
Yeah.
And then you got to take care of your people.
Yeah.
And if you can do that, you can keep them. And it's a snowball effect. It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
You guys do a great job. During the pandemic, SanCap Bank processed over 1,100 loans for $109 million in support or more of local businesses. Can you walk us through what that process was like
Sure.
and how the bank was able to provide relief to Southwest Florida community the way they did?
You're talking about the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program. Yeah, that was a whirlwind. That was a lot of fun. And I hope we never go through, our nation and our world never goes through that time again. But you say what catapulted us, there's a definite shift in our asset size and our bottom line coming out of COVID. During that time, we were able to attract so many new customers, all while taking care of our existing customers, because other financial institutions, in my opinion, just weren't taking care of their existing customers. It's not like we were marketing. It's not like we were out there saying, we're better than anybody. We provide the same services, but we just do it with people that are willing to put in the work, pick up the phone, answer the right question, hopefully give the right answer, and get the job done. And we gained some amazing clients out of that I think will have clients for life during a very hard time. And all we had to do is pick up the phone and say, yes, we're here to help.
And not only just the people within the CEO and president, I can call and he picks up the phone every time I call him and he calls me right back. Craig did that and you do it too.
That's the way we run this organization. My office is in the lobby with the door open. I'm not on some high floor and you need an appointment to see me. I take meetings on an as needed basis. Walk in my door, it's open. And that's kind of a rarity these days.
Well, I just gave someone your name the other day. I don't know if he called you, but I gave him your name and he's got a big house up on Captiva. And
we're going to do a loan for him and his mother. So we got two loans.
That's awesome.
Two loans.
That's awesome.
But there's a perfect example.
And he said to me,
still fighting. That gentleman is in his mother. Both have fantastic properties out on Captiva. Both hurt very hard by Hurricane Ian. Then there were two more storms, right, that they probably had damage from as well. They're still fighting with their insurance. So, they exhausted a lot of resources fixing up their property. Luckily, they had the means to do so, but they need to get a little bit of capital back, and we're going to work with them. So thank you for that. That's how business gets done in Lee County. But it's amazing. And, you talk about issues and working through issues. The insurance industry is, it's a tough one still.
Oh, very much so.
You know that more than most.
Yeah. Well, so following Hurricane Ian, you've been instrumental in providing financial support to businesses and homeowners in the area. Can you talk about the role the bank has played in helping rebuild our community?
Sure. Absolutely. Let's just start with some big numbers because I pulled them the other day because Mr. Albert wanted to hear them. Since Hurricane Ian, we've done about $190 million of residential real estate loans to help those directly affected by the storm. This isn't new purchases, and this is direct, either helping people buy new properties, buy dilapidated properties, fund construction of fixing. $190 million just since Ian on Sanibel and Captiva alone.
Just on
so that's just Sanibel and Captiva, $190 million. We've done nearly $90 million of condo and HOA association lending, loans secured by special assessments to condos to help fix up just on Sanibel, Captiva, and Fort Myers Beach. We invest a lot of what we do into the lending piece of things. Obviously, we need to, again, we talked about this earlier, take in the deposits to fuel the lending. But lending is how we generate the revenue of the institution. We don't charge really any money on the liability side, on the deposit side. That's all free, which is a lot of institutions don't do it that way. We just make the money on the loans, right? And the loans are what people need coming out of a storm like that. So if you come to our bank and you need a loan, we're going to do everything we possibly can to get you in a product that's going to help facilitate whatever it is you're going through.
And that's not just a loan for your home, but it's for your business.
For your business, sure.
Even if I wanted a boat.
We all need boats, Mike, right? It's Southwest Florida.
Something we both like to do.
That's right.
You've served on various boards, including the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools and the United Way of Lee County. How has your involvement, along with that of your organizations in these initiatives, shaped your perspective on community service? Additionally, why is giving back such a personal priority to you?
I used to not be that way. Let me just start out with that. I used to be a very materialistic individual. And all my previous jobs in finance and in banking, they weren't like Sanibel Captiva Community Bank. I never really understand philanthropy until I came here and saw what it meant to be able to give and give back at a almost an uncomfortable level, right? So yeah, I mean, I sit on the board of the Foundation for Lee County Public Schools. I'm on the executive committee of that. I'm the treasurer of that. I'm on my Civic Association board. I'm on the YMCA board. I've done some other things, Lover's Key State Park as well. But it doesn't stop there. I also support, the bank supports, I personally support. I like to get involved in what my employees are passionate about.
Yeah.
So as you know, like Lana,
Fantastic,
is fantastic person. Amy, Ruda, all these people they're so passionate about the organizations that they support, like Blessings in a Backpack and PACE and Captains for Clean Water and Valerie's House. I want to personally support, and the bank wants to support those as well. And we've done it to the tune in the past 23 years of about $5 million, over 400 organizations right here in Lee County. So it all stays here. You know, our building just 2 doors down at 7500 College Parkway, we kept that building when we built our new headquarters, our new off-island headquarters down at 9311 College Parkway. We went from 7,500 square feet to about 20,000 square feet. And that building right down the street, we lease about 90% of it to nonprofits for $1 a year.
That's great, because I know that's where Blessings in a Backpack is.
It's nice real estate too. So, you know, it's just another way to give back.
You guys doing a great job.
It means everything, but it comes back full circle.
Yeah.
And even if it didn't come back full circle, it's still the right thing to do. Another thing we did last year that was, I think it was last year or possibly the year before now, is I got a phone call from Sam Sirianni.
Oh, yeah.
The great Sirianni family.
That's awesome.
And
where I went to high school.
I know, where I went to high school, right? Our kids, or my kids might go there someday. Who knows? And they go, Kyle, we've been trying to raise money for 15, 18 years to try to do this turf project. And we're short. You know, we've been $250,000 short for over a decade.
Yeah.
And we can get this done. And but we've always fallen short. And it would be a legacy for the Sirianni family to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I said, well, what do you need? And they said, we need like $275,000.
Yeah.
I said, of course, well, the businessman, well, what can we get? And he said, well, how's exclusive corporate naming rights for the field and the complex for 99 years? I said, okay. I said, well, I'll ask the board and I'll give you an answer in 2 days. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm going to tell you yes or no in 2 days. And like, you know, they've never been able to get any type of funding like that, nor a response that quickly. It's always, let me think about it and kick the can down the road. I think it was 2 or 3 days later, we wrote him a check.
That's great. I heard that story and I love it.
It feels great, you know, and to me, you know, yes, it's my alma mater and everything like that, but I think Fort Myers High School has, and it's the largest stadium between, I don't know if you know that, between Sarasota and Miami.
I did not know that.
So there'll be outdoor events there.
Yeah.
It's not just, it is for the children. It is for the legacy and the naming and everything like that, but it's smart business in my opinion as well.
Yeah. 99 year. Going to see St. Cap Community
That's
up on that.
It's on the field. It's on the scoreboard. Can't take it away.
That's awesome, man. That's great. I love that. You've been through both the challenges of the Great Recession and recent difficulties caused by Hurricane Ian. How did those experiences shape your leadership style and approach to running the bank? Did we already do that?
We can talk a little bit more. I think it's made my hairline recede a little bit.
Yeah,
a little more gray.
Yeah,
come through.
I've got a little patch right here. When I'm looking down, it looks like I've just got a patch and nothing's behind it. But you know, that's what that storm stuff has done to me.
I will say it this way. You know, management style is one thing when you have a plan and you have time. Management style is a completely different animal when there's a disaster and you just have to react.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you have a great group of employees and a board that backs you and says, yes, sir, let's go get the job done. And that's kind of what we did. You know, that's my style, is just find a way. And we found a way, not only, like I said, to help, but we've thrived through it. And we're a better institution, I think, today than before Ian.
Yeah.
We really are.
And
so rebuilding.
And like you said, all those people that you've helped during those times of COVID, you've just grown the bank and you've gotten more clients and customers by just serving.
Right.
And opening your doors and helping and picking up your phone.
And I think we're real too, right?
Yeah.
So our customers know that we're going through the same thing that they're going through. We're still fighting with our insurance company. We're still rebuilding our branches. We finally got our East End office just opened a few months ago on Sanibel. We're still waiting on a sign for the front of it. Some people don't even know we're open on the east end of Sanibel. Gregor, down by Kelly Road. If you look at that beautiful new building, about 15 feet up in the air.
Definitely.
Well
I
above
saw
the
it's elevated
floodplain.
now.
That will be done this summer. So we're going through all the same things that our customers are. And we're real people too.
When do you break ground at Fort Myers Beach?
It is in engineering right now.
Okay.
That takes some time. We're trying to get through it without asking for a variance. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not because it's a small lot. But Joyce Owens is our architect on that.
I saw
and
that.
If
Joyce is
anybody
a great
knows,
lady.
you know what Joyce Owens builds and what she designs.
Yeah.
And for anybody that doesn't, I ask you to go to their website and take a look at what Joyce Owens designs.
Yeah, she does a good job.
And OAK is going to build that facility for us, Owen Ames Kimball.
Okay.
And Joyce will design
Another great company.
We give back to the customers that do business with us. We try to, employ those customers when we do have the opportunity to spend money.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it. As someone who leads a major financial institution in Southwest Florida, what are your thoughts on the future of banking here? How do you think the landscape will change, especially as the area continues to grow, and it's growing?
It is growing. It is growing. Well, the growth of the institution, in short, what a bank can do financially to help the community, the bank has to grow to be able to do larger loans.
Yeah.
So we've grown with Lee County. So that means we can help more by doing larger loans, right? Our legal lending limit when I started at the bank was about $4 million. Today it's 20. God. So I can lend upwards of $20 million to just one relationship, one client. And so that is going to change the landscape of what we can do as we continue to grow. When you get over $1 billion, which we're budgeting for and what we're planning for, our executive management team and our board of directors is fully ready for this.
Yeah.
There's obviously different regulatory things that we need to be looking at and strengthening compliance and Bank Secrecy Act and making sure everything is tight within the institution, and we're taking care of those things. So that's obviously going to change. You can always worry about competitors, but if you take care of what you think your niche is and serve your customer base to the best of your ability, I can't really control what they're going to do.
Yeah.
The one thing regulatory wise that we'll see in this market, and we've seen throughout Lee County now, is the influx of credit unions coming into this market. And I'll say this, you can, if your listeners want to do their research on it, the difference between a bank and a credit union and what that is. Credit unions are great. They're great. They serve their purpose. It's a very unfair advantage, in my opinion. And the main disadvantage between a bank and a credit union is credit unions don't pay corporate tax.
Yeah.
So when you get to the bottom line of the profits, and we talked about all the things that an institution like myself does to give back, well, we're still doing all the same things that a credit union is supposed to be doing, which they are, giving back, doing financial literacy, doing all this stuff. But at the end of the day, we pay corporate tax. They do not. They simply get to use those funds to grow or offer lower interest rates or higher rates on the deposit side. So it creates an unfair advantage. It really does. And, we have great leaders at Florida Bankers Association, at the ICBA, at the ABA level, and they're all trying to lobby to help banks. So in my opinion, locally, nationally, statewide, you'll see maybe some changes come down the line, hopefully regulatory wise for banking. But I still think banks and community banks serve such an important role.
Yeah.
Especially here in this community.
Well, again, it's about the people, and you got the people. The people that work for your company, for SingCap Bank, they're just all great people. And we've named a few like Lana and Amy and just a lot of them. With your background in commercial lending and community banking, what advice do you have for the business owners in Southwest Florida looking to grow or expand?
We have a great team. It goes back to your team. And if anybody ever just wants to sit down with a real person, a real banker, I invite you to make an appointment or just stop in a branch. We have a residential lender at any one of our branches. Both of my commercial lenders sit at 9311 College Parkway. Great staff. We have an SBA department as well now for small business lending to help smaller businesses grow as well. Commercial team is fantastic. Just have a conversation. Again, you get to have a conversation with a real person. It's not a portal with a computer talking back to you. Give us a shot. It's as simple as that. All banks, all credit unions, they're all different.
Yeah.
We do it differently with a personal touch right here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah. You do it good. As an avid outdoorsman, is that the boat? And someone who enjoys the Florida lifestyle, how do you find time to relax and recharge? What's your favorite way to enjoy Southwest Florida outside of work? We've already talked about family.
Sure.
We know that.
Well, Mike, I'll just say it this way. My life has changed so much since we brought my son home, Colton. I went from training for Ironmans and doing CrossFit competitions and going on a 6-hour bike ride on Saturday morning to all of a sudden getting the phone call. And in 13 days, we picked up our son. And then 2 years later, with less than a day notice, it's actually -1 day notice, we got the call for our daughter. So my past 4 years of being an avid outdoorsman looks extremely different than it did 4 years ago. But it's more fun now. I like to be on the boat with the kids, and I don't get to have 8-hour fishing trips with the boys anymore and come home late and do all that stuff. But it's better, and to see you catch a catfish in the backyard with a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old screaming their head off, and that's better than a 100-pound grouper offshore.
Oh, I loved. I mean, I worked my butt off, but just like you and everybody else. But those times with those kids, and still going on. I mean, mine are 20, getting ready to go 21, 22, and then 20, almost going on 26. Pretty amazing.
What's the quote? The days are long and the years are short. It's some of the days it's a struggle. It's tough. I remind myself when I come home or when I get to see them, even if it's briefly before I have to go to an event sometimes, because we're busy and we have to do these events at night sometimes as part of, the role of myself at the institution, to be out there in the community. I remind myself every day, my kids don't care. They don't know that I'm the president and CEO of a bank, and they know me as dad and dad. And that's the most important thing that they need to know, is that I'm there for them as much as I possibly can be.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. Any smart man knows that it's all about the support he gets at home from his spouse.
So I
mean, I could not do what I do for this institution, for the bank, if I didn't have Jenny at home taking care of my children.
That's the same thing with me, with my wife, Annie, and my girls. I've got 3 girls. You got a boy and a girl. 3 girls.
Better save up, buddy. Better save for the weddings.
Yeah. What are some of the most exciting projects or initiatives you're currently working on at the St. Cap Bank? What can we expect to see next? And we've already talked about Fort Myers Beach and the branch that's being rebuilt.
Yep.
Off of Old McGregor.
Brick and mortar is always exciting. Fort Myers Beach, I think, is going to be just awesome for us. And that'll be probably summer of 2026. We're hoping to open the doors there.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Takes time. But more so, we're growing. So we're going to cross over this $1 billion threshold, which is just an amazing testament to the community, to the employees, to the shareholders, to our board of directors. But I'm every day looking to continue to be relevant. And I get the privilege of running this institution in perpetuity and, give this institution off to the next president and CEO, maybe just like what Craig did, maybe 20, 25 years from now. And that's part of my goal. And that's the way we run this institution. I think AI, to answer your question, I think AI is going to play a bigger role in banking and in community banking. We're constantly looking at ways for technology to not help eliminate people, but help people do their jobs better, help customers be more secure, help them limit fraud cases. Fraud in banking is just immense right now.
Really?
It is. And, identity theft, all these things that you read about, it is very real. We have a great back office, and we are constantly trying to find better ways to facilitate keeping our customers safe and secure. So that's part of it. The loan piece of it, being relevant. And, we have to find a way to make a dollar go a little bit further, because our competitors, again, it goes back to not paying a corporate tax. I have to do a little bit better than they do, because at the end of the day, they can price better than I can.
Yeah.
So that's always a struggle. Just being relevant.
Yeah.
Keeping, if you can find a way to facilitate a customer's needs and do it in a quick manner, whether that is a yes or a no, or we can help you, or, we can't help you exactly this way, but we can help you this way. You find a way to do that and do a good job at it and serve the community, you'll be fine.
Yeah. That's awesome, Kyle. And just like talking about AI and what we're going through computers and, like we said, AI, all that kind of stuff. And that's where that new leadership comes in too, because, I'm not saying that Craig wouldn't be good at, but a young CEO, president understands that maybe a little bit more and grasps that a little bit more instead of the old ways of doing business. You still have the old ways too. You can't forget about where you come from, but you embrace new technology like AI because it's big.
It's very big.
I mean, we're using it every day in our business.
Yep.
Big time.
Yep.
And not just to make my letters sound better.
You got to give your people the tool to be able to perform their job.
Yeah.
And, you got to give a great work environment, and it's only going to make a better experience for the customer at the end. And that's what we're here for. It's customer service.
That's awesome. Last question. Lastly, for our listeners who may not know, is there anything about you that surprises people or something you're passionate about outside of your professional life that maybe someone doesn't know that you're willing to share?
That's a tough question. Really my passion right now is just my family and my kids and spending as much time with them as I can. I worked really hard to get those kids.
Yeah.
My wife and I did both, and it was a long journey, and I try not to miss much, in what we do, from 8 to 5 and then the after work events and stuff like that. It's tough sometimes with the time that we have to commit to it and the nonprofits and everything else. But I don't want to miss my kid, being able to ride his bike for the first time, or my daughter learning how to swim.
Important years.
Both my children, Lily is just under 2 and she's finally swimming. Colton was fully swimming at about, a year.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Are they with Coach Mac?
Not yet.
That's going to be fun to watch.
Not yet.
That's going to be so fun to watch.
Not yet.
That's awesome.
So it's about the family right now. I had a long time of taking care of, my competitive edge in sports and biking and running and the Ironman and stuff like that. I'm putting that on hold a little bit right now and just spending time with the family.
Well, I think you can never forget about that. And I think it's one thing about this conversation today makes me think about myself and think about, even though my kids are, 21, 22, and 25 going on 26, it's still all about the kids and my wife. And you're busy all throughout the day and you're hustling and all that. But you got to find time to turn it off and be with family, because that's most important. Your friends, your family, your colleagues, all that, and maybe step back and to enjoy a little bit more too, and find that balance that we all struggle with sometimes.
We'll both work on it. How about that, Mike? We'll both commit to it.
This conversation today is helping me. So thank you.
Thank you, bud.
Thank you for coming in the podcast. We appreciate it.
It's my first one.
The people and the places that make Southwest Florida so special, you are one of those people, and your bank is one of them too. So thank you. Thanks, man.